Hey, welcome back to the part two. We've got a different scenario, Sheikh. Sister Ruby, we've got a different scenario we're going to jump straight into. Very short but intriguing letter. It reads, Dear ItTakes2, my husband turns towards Haram means when I am asleep. Am I doing something wrong? The letter seems vague, and I guess we have to infer that this haram is related to some type of pleasurable activity. Self-pleasure, self-marriage,
Okay. Right.
so on and so forth. I'll start with yourself, Sheikh, if that's okay.
Well, one of the significant, there are two significant things that come out to me from this letter, right? One is this guy is doing some self-pleasuring after his wife is asleep, okay? Which indicates some kind of, I would say, disharmony in the relationship on an intimate physical level, right? I think secondly is the woman thinking that she is to blame, right? These are two things that stick out here.
She can't assume that necessarily.
Right, no, she can't necessarily assume that, okay? What have I done, right? It makes her, and this is what happens with these types of activities, okay? One spouse starts to feel it's because it's their fault that I am not pleasing my spouse the way I should please him, for example. You see? This is what she's implying here, right? And I think it's almost logical for somebody to think like this.
Yeah, you internalize
yes,
it.
So I think basically what is necessary here is for these two people to have a conversation about this.
And how is that going to happen? Beloved
how does
wife.
she initiate
How does
it?
that conversation?
Well, the wife is perceiving this, right? She started it, and I think she needs to sort of, I don't necessarily think confront him, okay? That sort of would put him up on the defensive, but a conversation, right?
They need to talk.
They need to talk, right? They need to talk, and they might need to talk maybe in as indirect a way as possible to begin with, right? Talk about the issue of self-pleasuring, right? Talk about why it occurs. Talk about what Islam says about it, right? And then from there, try to get to the bottom of it. You see, because some people could be addicted to this, right? Sometimes, for example, some people could be, they could have a differential in their libidos, for example. Okay, maybe her libido is less than his, or for example, that
is possible.
It's a possibility, right? Yeah. He might have, maybe require certain behaviors on her part in terms of relating on an intimate level in the relationship. It could be a lot of different reasons. Yes.
What if he's an addict in the intimacy area? Maybe there's...
In the self-pleasuring area?
Yes.
I mentioned that.
They will never know until they
I mentioned that.
Conversation.
I mentioned that. But he could be an addict in that area, yes.
But, speaking about it and putting it into practice are two different things. I think the wife could possibly feel quite intimidated raising the subject with her partner, who may be very standoffish, and we don't know how he's going to react towards that. So it's not going to be an easy thing to approach.
But if she doesn't speak about it, what's the way forward?
I think she, first of all, speaking for my sisters, do not internalize things. He obviously has an issue. You're involved in this issue just because you're married. So the issue is with him. You haven't done anything wrong, because a lot of the time sisters just shut down when there's a problem. They feel like it's me, what have I done, blah, blah. No, he has an issue. And I think that maybe she could say things, not directly addressing that situation, but say, is there anything that you would like in that area? Is there anything, the frequency, whatever? Just have a discussion, but make it as if she's making herself available and see how he responds. And she doesn't have to address it at that stage, just try other options. And again, it's not that she has a problem, but maybe she's trying to support her husband and help her husband in a subtle way. And if that doesn't work, then you bring it up in Yeah, in a very self-assured and calm way, because you don't want him to feel, oh, you've been a bad boy. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? You don't want to get that. Yeah.
But you say, for example, that she hasn't done anything wrong, and there's nothing to assume she has, because obviously
He's the
she's
one
describing
yeah.
his behaviour. But what if it is something to do with the fact that, I say fact, what about in a scenario, put the sister to the side, but in a scenario where there's an issue with frequency?
Why
Yeah,
isn't
again,
he
I mean, I
voicing
mentioned
it?
the problem with difference in libido.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And it's not, we're not certain if, for example, she might have certain patterns that might lead to this. For example, let's say they might have physical intimacy twice a week, let's say, right? And for her, it's fine. Okay? He might require physical intimacy for 5 times a week.
Well, shouldn't he voice that?
All right, of course he should voice that. But then you have what you have in a lot of couple relationships is reluctance, embarrassment, feeling
Fear of rejection, even.
feeling super self-conscious, not wanting to hurt the other person. In terms of expressing what your desires are in the relationship. You see what I'm saying? So people tend to keep quiet instead of actually expressing themselves. You see?
People close down.
And so you would find now that, for example, instead of communication, people take recourse to these types of activity, right? So yes, maybe it's clear that there's a communication problem here, okay? And that needs to be bridged.
I would say the communication issue is coming from the brother, because he's not communicating. She's suggesting in the letter, well, she's saying, is there anything that I could do? Is it me? Well, he's not communicating what his needs are. So the issue is with him. And I was also going to say that this might be a learned type of behavior, especially in the West. As children come up, they're taught in schools it's okay to exhibit that type of behaviour as long as it doesn't hurt anybody and there are no repercussions, it's okay. So as the Sheikh said, this might be something that he was doing in the past that has just gone through with him to adulthood, just like a habit, really.
Sheikh, could you say something about the prohibition and the harmfulness of this type of activity from a sort of
from a Shia
Islamic
point of view, from our scholars, self-pleasure is haram, okay? Unless it is done within a mutual context. Let's say, within the context of physical intimacy with one's partner, with one's spouse, right? It can be indulged in for that purpose, okay? In order to, because one's spouse is involved. Islam sees physical intimacy as a social one, okay? Meaning, two people are involved in this type of thing, right? It's fundamentally social, okay? It is not individual. It is the heights of selfishness for one person to get involved in something like that. Yes. The other thing is there are certain dangers that come along with this, especially for men. Okay.
Psychological dangers.
Yes. Like for example, I don't know what is cool with my brothers out there in terms of what words. Like for example, premature ejaculation, for example. This encourages that. Loss of libidinal vigor and things of that nature. So it is something quite harmful, actually. People get addicted to that type of behavior.
I know there's some psychology texts that say it can even lead to depression because it's kind of withdraw as a process of withdrawing. As you said, the intimacy is social. Right. So if a person gets involved in terms of self, it becomes a kind of inward
because
journey.
It's such a short letter, we don't know if he may be responding to a stimulus or something. For example, magazines. There were certain newspapers that would have women looking a certain way. I'm not going to mention the newspaper, but on certain pages that would have, you could clearly open and see like a woman who wasn't fully dressed, example. So maybe a lot of the times, you know, you go, many males go home with those images in their minds and don't have a way of expressing it, and leads to the situation that we discussed, where they try and take matters into their own hands, literally, figuratively speaking.
There is something I wanted to ask you about, Sister Ruby, was the fact that we live in an environment where it is, I guess it's the objectification of women in terms of the physical environment, in terms of public, you know, the public space is filled with images of women of a certain type. We know the male hijab or the command is, you know, to lower your gaze. But just the fact that we live in that environment where women dress in a certain way, and brothers find it a bit challenging, that maybe there are men who do not lower their gaze and they struggle, so that it impacts libido across the board. Is there a way that sisters can, is there a way that their wives can, you know, be protecting them in a sense? Facilitating them more.
Facilitating them. I would assume.
I mean, it is their wife. I'm curious. I'm just curious
that any married woman would obviously at home dress appropriately for her husband, do whatever, be attractive. You know, she's probably doing all those things already, don't you think? You know?
No, maybe she's not.
Are you trying to say?
Maybe she's not.
We've got to explore. We're not playing the blame game. We're trying to explore possibilities and potentialities.
He's on the motorway and he sees a billboard with some woman who's not dressed selling Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So he comes home and he's expecting his wife to be like that Coca-Cola selling woman. I'm expecting the sister to be smart enough to be, when she's at home with her husband, she dresses appropriately for, if that's what he's into, and she makes herself pretty and stuff. I'm just assuming. But I hate this thing that it's always the woman's fault and, oh, the brother can't control his eyes. We have to control ourselves. We're human beings. And I've heard brothers say this a lot, oh, the weather's hot. There's so much nakedness out there. I don't know what to do with myself. What do you mean you don't know what to do with yourself?
But I don't think that
I'm going to
there's
get back to that.
a strong correlation, okay, with seeing women scantily dressed on the street.
You don't think there's a strong correlation?
No. And men going back home in their privacy and engaging in self-pleasuring. A lot of self-pleasuring on a problematic level is related to pornography, right? You know, slight pornography or heavy pornography. It's related to that, you know, and it's related to...
it's a slippery slope, though, isn't it?
It might be, yes. I'm saying it's
a slippery slope.
Yeah, I'm not saying...
not lowering your gaze in the billboard to, you know, like an addiction. People, I need a little bit more of a hit. I need a little bit more of a hit.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Okay.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist,
Okay.
right? But I'm saying in terms of, you know, on the possibility of it happening, right? It's a much more intensive type of a thing than that, right? You know what I mean? For example, let's say this man, okay? As a boy, let's say if this was a habit of his,
Right.
okay? He would have to take recourse to pornographic material, okay? To indulge in that type of a thing, and then after that takes off on its own.
Well, not necessarily.
Right? Or he could just probably, you know, I mean, also come up in a permissive type of environment. He discovered this type of activity and kept on with it, for example.
Right.
This can happen, okay? I don't want to blame women, okay, because I think it could happen on both sides, okay, in terms of women doing self-pleasuring because of some kind of limitation that they might need from their husbands that they're not getting.
It's not a gender-specific problem.
It's not a gender-specific thing, right?
No.
And men can do this too because of the same reason, you know. What I'm saying is, you know, something like this, counseling is necessary. You need to find out why this man is doing this. Very important, okay? Does this have anything to do with his wife, right? Or it has to do with, for example, behaviors that he has learned and has continued in the relationship, okay? And if it has to do with what he's expecting or not getting from his wife, for example, okay? Then we talk about how they could negotiate, you know.
I like that word negotiate because it doesn't indicate fault, but it indicates how can they facilitate each other, how can they work together, because it takes two.
Right.
You were going to say, sister?
I was going to say, we don't know from the letter, but maybe the sister feels that she's provided her duties however often in a week, she might not even be attracted to the brother, and that, you know.
There you go. And if she's not attracted to him,
There you go.
right? She
It's
wouldn't
a
be
vicious-
she wouldn't be
She's not inclined to
inclined to him,
Yeah,
and then he might,
yeah.
you know. So what I'm saying is, what we're saying is, this requires talking, okay, on the part of those who want to help, okay, an interview with them, and series of interviews with them, all right, and it also requires communication between the two of them, okay. If the program, if the problem is a unilateral one, okay, or if the problem arises out of the relationship itself.
Because it
Okay?
can be
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, if it's his problem, okay, he needs to talk to his wife about it. Okay? And if it's his problem, I can understand. I won't justify, but I can understand why he's keeping it quiet.
He might not.
He
see
might
it
be
as a
embarrassed about
problem.
it.
He might
You
not see
see?
it as a problem.
Well, if he doesn't see it as a problem,
He might
he
just see it
wouldn't.
as a fact of life.
Yeah, but
Well,
he,
it seems to be
but
pattern-
he's
the pattern-
doing it. He's
the
doing it
pattern-
when
the
she's
pattern.
asleep.
There's a
He's doing it when she's asleep, but she doesn't know. When he thinks she doesn't know.
She obviously isn't sleeping all the time, but he thinks she is.
Bored. He's probably bored, and there you go. I don't know. It's a partner.
But no, Shay, seriously, you were saying though, like if it's his problem, he needs to seek help. But if it's their problem,
No, if it's his problem, yeah, he needs to seek help. But they both need to be on this. They both
it's
need to
their
be able to
Joint
deal
problem,
with this.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a joint problem. You know, because I mean, you know, intimate relationships. You know, first of all, you need to have the capacity, right, to be able to fulfill that other person's need in two directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because human beings both have requirements.
Exactly.
preferences,
Right
needs,
now,
whatever.
if you have this pattern that leads to the other person thinking that they're inadequate, you see, right? It is a personal problem that needs to be communicated to the other partner.
Because he may not
Okay.
know that she knows.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's why she needs to let him know that she knows in some kind of indirect way.
So is it a responsibility as a starting point for her to broach it in some way,
think
shape, form, or
it's-
fashion with her other half?
It's obviously bothering her enough so that she would write in with it. So my next thing was approach it with him, but don't be aggressive and hostile towards it. Just be like, you know, I've noticed these things. You don't have to hide. Is there anything that you feel that we need to
Or
bring
maybe even
in?
more indirect than that. I think it's a good point, but even more indirect. You know, talk about the subject, right? Talk about the subject itself.
indirectly,
Yes, you know what I mean, and get that person's response about it. You know what I mean, and then you could probably move, for example, the subject of that activity taking place in a marital context.
Or bring up
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And you sort of move
Incrementally,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
move, and then later on, somewhere in that discussion, you can say, "Look, you know, I know you've been doing this, but by then, you know, that person is already psychologically open."
Prepared for the discussion.
Yes, you see. So I think that's the best way to approach it between the two of them.
But like in a patient, in a loving fashion.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. No shouting and throwing things at him.
No,
Sorry.
absolutely
Just
not.
teasing.
Shay, this type of problem seems to be, or problems relating around issues of intimacy, seem to be, I don't know if they're on the rise or is it that they're surfacing in the community? Is it the environment? Is it the electronic environment? Or is it not? Maybe it's always been there, but we just didn't know about it. It seems like, it feels like it's
I think
on the
part
rise.
of it is on the rise, all right? I think the other part of it is that people are less inhibited in talking about it. It's like crime, okay? You know, take for example the sexual abuse. You know,
Molestation.
you know, abuse,
Abuse,
in British society after Savile,
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile.
Floodgate.
Okay, the floodgates open. You have more reports about it.
Yeah.
It mightn't necessarily be increased illegal behavior in that area.
Definitely increased
But
reports.
increased reporting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I think in our society, I think it's a combination of both. First of all, I think that in contemporary society, right, and it's not just Western society, but also Eastern society because of the availability of the internet and so on.
WWW.
Okay, physical intimacy is no longer a mystery. Okay, it might even be mischanneled. You know what I mean? By people, for example, looking at pornography and thinking this is the norm. Okay, but by and large, you know, it's not like the 1950s where very few people knew about orgasms and so on, right? Everybody knows about it now. Everybody thinks that orgasm is their right, okay? And they might be right too, you see, right? So you have these type of things taking place. So people are much more conscious of this, all right? Much more conscious of, you know, their need to be physically pleased in a relationship, etc. So you have that, okay? And then you have the fact that people now being so conscious about this that they are now prepared to talk with each other about it. You see? So I think you have the two of them that are working in sort of in tandem.
I mean, we have examples where people would go to the imams, etc., and discuss very personal issues, and the imams would, you know, answer their questions fully and give them, you know, things that they could take home and do, and advice that they could actually, you know, implement in their lives. So I would like there to be more discussion in the community. Sure. But then we have this dichotomy where there's certain, like in the National Balagha, I can't quote completely, where it says where, you know, if you discuss your problems, you're open to humiliation. And maybe that's a transliteration of what it actually is saying. But you have this also paranoia that if you open up about an issue, it will become even worse, or people will assume things about you. I think we've just got to a point in our community where it's become like a pressure cooker, that there's some things that need to be discussed before the lid just gets blown off. And I think we need to encourage that. We really need to. Because as we said before, if we don't discuss these things, someone else will, and it won't necessarily have an Islamic context to it.
Just to clarify the National Balagha thing,
yeah.
What it talk about is about friends or acquaintances that you have, okay, that you have to be very careful, you know, exposing everything about yourself to your friends or your acquaintances, because you don't know if they'll turn into enemies in the future. Right? But when we're talking about, let's say, issues that have a mutual impact, all right, or even a possible mutual source of a problem, okay, or when you're talking about issues to professionals, for example, who are trained to deal with these types of things, you know, it's a different story. You're not talking about here being used against you. Yeah. You're talking about it actually, you're actually using that, you know, that resource to help resolve something.
Discuss it, but in the correct, be specific to discuss it in the correct avenue. Sheikh, very engaging show, and thank you so much for your comments. Very, 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 very informative. And to yourself, Sister Ruby, as well, always informative, and much appreciate your input.
Thank you.
And to you guys at home, I want to say thank you for staying with us for the duration. We hope that you gain some benefit, some kind of information that will help you to go forward in your lives in general. And we hope to see you next time on It Takes Two. Until such time, stay safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.